in October of 2012. And then also some of the information about the rig used and the antenna. I'm assuming that you didn't use a 40-meter long skyway for a 2-meter contact. That'd be kind of cool, though. And then, yeah, this looks similar to the same QSL card that Carol has on her QRZ page. So I assume it's not doctored up and it's original. That's cool. That's probably back when you guys did it on Simplex. But anyways, I'd like to hear the story. Have you all back today?
All right. Thank All right, Bill, N6WLM, this is James AE6JG. Before we ask for comments on your picture, let me see if anybody else wants to join us tonight. All right, well, I'll comment. A few more pixel pops than what George transmitted. I guess we're looking at an oscilloscope on a test bench. Boy, there's so much going on there, Bill. I don't even know where to start. Way beyond me. Carol, I am beginning to see the image come up on YouTube, at least the first part of it. Okay, George, I'm going to kick it over to you for comments, N6YG.
I see a Rigel. Can I see it? Digital oscilloscope. I have the Siglet version of that. I have that exact same circuit board holder as well, along with my Panavices. I see a breadboard and a bunch of jumpers. I like those too. That style, I forgot what they're called, with the pins on them, rather than the old school way of doing it was the little flat wires. And so I can't quite follow the wiring on this. I don't know if that breadboard is connected to the device in the circuit board holder that appears to have a BNC connector to it. And my eyes aren't that good anymore. I'm wondering if the signal on the oscilloscope is from that device. I can't really tell. Yeah, interesting picture.
Thanks, George. Carol, do you want to comment on it? Copy that. Bill, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a very busy picture, so I didn't expect you guys to extract too much information out of it. It's just kind of what's on my bench right now. I haven't had much time to do a lot of radio, so this has been something I've been working on for a little bit. It's just a silly project. The main board there in the vise is a Pixie CW transceiver, like the cheapo $3 CW transceivers that they sell everywhere. And then on the bottom there, in the breadboard, is an SI5351 plugged into an Arduino. So I had this silly idea that I'm going to hook up my SI5351, which is it just creates a clock, a very clean clock. A lot of VFO projects from like QPR guy, or was it QRP guys, and other the radio projects uses that chip to generate clocks for various radio projects. So I had the idea of using that clock board to inject a signal into the little Pixie, so that way it could be more frequency variable. Right now there's a crystal oscillator in the Pixie just to make it a fixed frequency at 7.023 in the extra portion of the band. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to see if I could hook up this VFO kind of project into the Pixie and see if I could move it around the bands and do a little CW, which I'm not very good at CW. But it was a fun project. I got all these parts for maybe $6, and it's still in the works. As you can see, the signal from the SI5351 is very dirty on the oscilloscope, so I have to figure out how to round out those edges. It's supposed to be a sine wave. That looks more like a square wave. N6WLM, back to net.
All right, thanks, Bill. Very industrious. I'm so impressed, really impressed. It's way beyond my ability. Carol, KP4MD, do you want to share an image? All right, well, while we wait for Carol, I will identify myself. This is James, AE6JG. This is the River City Arcs Slow Scan TV. And I'm about to share an image myself. This will be PD120. Carol, it looks like YouTube is working. Good evening, Whiskey Papa 2 November. Craig is online with us watching. Before I comment on it, I guess I should let others comment on it. Carol, do you see the image, KP4MG? Nothing heard. I'll go to George, N6YG.
About the last half of that, so I'm looking at it on YouTube. For some reason, I didn't auto sync. I think I accidentally clicked off auto mode, so that was my fault. But what did come over on that actually looks really good. There's some pixel pops here and there. A huge parking lot and an arena. I'm not sure what I'm looking at, so I'll let you tell us.
All right, Bill, N6WLM.
Yeah, good aerial shot. Came over pretty well. A few pixel pops here and there, but nothing crazy. It looks similar to the YouTube copy. That looks like a quarter-mile track, kind of like up here we have, what is it, All-American Speedway, or the one in South Design Speedway, but that looks like a dirt quarter-mile track maybe. I can see the stands there and the pit in the middle. It looks pretty dirty and used, so I'm not sure where this is at. A bunch of cars parked in the parking lot, and it looks like there might be like a motocross dirt track on the right-hand side before the marshes start. So maybe this is some kind of fun car place. You can take your car and drive it around. I can't really make it out though. That could be a building even. But a very nice shot. I wonder where you took it from if you had a drone like Craig suggested, or maybe you took it from an airplane. But nice shot. N6WLM, back to net.
N6WLM, this is AE6JG. Carol, KP4MD, comments on this image? All right. Not hearing from Carol, I will tell you. My wife and I went to an international rally of Airstreams in 100 Airstreams parked in the lower part, and you can't really make it out, but in the upper left, that's the other half, and that's about a mile distance. Bill, you're absolutely right. That's a motocross track and a stock car track, and there's a horse track there. So this is an event center that does all kinds of things, and they built it up to host for 10 days 1,200 Airstreams. It's kind of like an Airstream convention. The white buildings in the towards the upper left corner are also where all the events are held. So we got back from that last week, and this is the first test of my gear. I had all this gear in the car. I got it set back up, and it seems to be working. Any questions of me? This is AE6JG.
Comment.
Go ahead, comment. Comment.
I had one for a while, and they're real popular, but the one thing I learned about those aluminum Airstreams is that if you want to sleep in when you're camping, don't park in the sun. If you have a big temperature differential, it gets cool at night, and when the sun comes up in the morning and starts heating that thing up, it's like an airplane fuselage. It starts expanding and popping and clicking, and you put your pillow over your head, trying not to hear it, but you're not going to sleep in.
Well, ours is only a couple years old. I have not experienced that, but we're early risers anyway. And I'd get the awnings out if we had to. The weather was actually mild temperature-wise, except thunderstorms would roll in on 10 minutes notice, you'd actually see them coming over in the upper part of the picture. Those are the White Mountains. You see them coming, and you have to batten down the hatches.
So is this kind of like a hamfest situation where you guys just hang out and sell gear related to Airstreams? What kind of talks do they have? I'm kind of interested in what goes on in a meetup like this, N6NA.
That's a good question. Yeah, it's kind of like a Burning Man or a Hamfest. Yeah, there are vendors, like Airstream of Wyoming was there, and believe it or not, people would trade in their trailers and get a new trailer. But there were all sorts of classes. Me and Roger W. K&6 BFF, I forget his call sign. We taught amateur radio classes and administer exams. We created 22 new hams that week. I did a tech overview in 4 hours, all 400 plus questions. So there's that. If you're interested in learning how to make cornbread in a Dutch oven, there's a class on that. There's classes on how to change a trailer tire. There's all kinds of things. So it's sort of like a mini convention. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun. 22 new hams, that's pretty impressive also. Good work. It sounds like a fun event. I have a trailer. I should probably get out and do more things like this also. N6NA.
Yeah, this started like 60 years ago because Airstreams, I guess, were the first ones to do these international caravans. We did actually caravan from here with several other families. We communicated with GMRS and 2-meter, which was kind of nice, a nice way to travel. We were also glad to come home and not travel that way, so it just depends. But definitely, it was a good experience. Next year they're doing it in Missouri. We're not going to Missouri. Any other comments, questions? Carol, any comments? And do you want to share an image?
Comment.
KP4MD AE6JG, are you there? All right, copy that, copy that. All right, anybody else want to join us tonight? Anybody want to join the net? This is AE6JG. Go ahead. Copy that. Thanks for trying to get it realigned. I was going through a similar struggle earlier tonight, trying to get my stuff set back up. I know, Craig, you're online. I don't know if you can hear me, but hopefully we'll get this resolved for next week. George or Bill, any last comments before I close the net?
Yeah, I was going to say that the Airstream I had was a 1970, this is going back, was a 1970 Tradewind dual axle. I don't remember the overall length on it. Wish I still had it. I towed that thing all the way back from Tennessee one time.
Yeah, George, there was a hole in the upper, you can't see it in this image, and I did not take this drone shot, by the way. This was taken by somebody else. There's a whole, I don't know how many of them, vintage Airstreams. There's a whole vintage Airstream group. They mostly park together with 50, 60-year-old plus Airstreams. Probably the very one that you used to own could have been in that group. All really well maintained, and you know, they made it. They have had events, and they did all kinds of stuff. We also had a morning net at 7:30 every morning. Hams would check in for about an hour, actually. Everybody in the campground on Simplex would check in on the morning net, and that was also emergencies and other things. Yeah, so given your history, you would probably enjoy seeing some of that.
I almost lost that Airstream in New Mexico. Real heavy winds, and I was barely making any headway. I mean, hardly any headway at all. It's just the wind was so strong that I was barely doing like 35 miles an hour on the freeway with the pedal just all the way to the floor. And I kept hearing this clunking in back, and I was keeping my fingers. There's no place to pull over. It's all soft shoulder. But I can see lights way out in the distance. Well, I'm begging I'm going to make it there. So I finally get there, and I get into this truck stop. And as I pull into the truck stop, I'm turning to pull into a pull-through space, and the entire Class 3 hitch just dropped out from underneath the truck. And the Airstream just kept going. God, I was only going about like 10 miles an hour, and the whole Airstream just kept going, and it rolled forward about another 15 feet. And I got out and stared at that, and I almost got on my hands and knees thinking, oh man, that would have been ugly if that would have happened on the freeway. So yeah, the guy who installed that hitch did not do a very good job.
That doesn't sound like it. Well, glad you're okay. Clearly a vivid memory from all those years ago. All right, I'm going to close the net. Thanks to all who participated in tonight's Slowski and TV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 9:30 p.m. This is James, AE6JG, wishing all of you a very good evening, and I'll stand by for a few minutes just to chat.
I also had a flat tire on that same trailer coming out of Colorado in the middle of the night on that windy ass road. Another time I thought I was going to lose it. Semis were flying past, trying to get that thing up to change the tire.
Well, you would have been able to teach the tire changing seminar, I'm sure. Yeah, well, glad you're okay. Yeah, we've enjoyed our Airstream, and we didn't know when we got it that one of the features was sort of this large sort of club. I mean, we randomly participate, and we were kind of curious about this big event, this big annual event, and it was a good experience. I don't think we'd ever do it again, but it was a good experience. Most of the stuff we go to is much more local. And it's been good, and yeah, I was George. I had an image of you towing your Tradewind with a wood-paneled LTD station wagon, not a truck.
I towed a friend's with an LTD. That's fine, and I'm talking a car. And I brought that back from that was New Mexico too. So yeah, an LTD.
Yeah, those were really cool. All right, any last comments before we all go to bed?
If you don't mind, I'm going to send one of the original closing pictures. We used to have an opening picture and a closing picture for the net, so just in case the web is still up.
I'm still connected. Bill, you still connected?
Yep, I'm still here. Go ahead. N6BLM.
All right, this is Robot 36, N6YG.
love that. And it came through practically perfect. Bill, how did you copy?
Yeah, great copy here. Just a few little pixel pops, but came over great.
That's really, we should do that. What was the opening slide, George? Do you have that?
As a matter of fact, yeah, hold on. Not sure how well this one will come out on Robot 36, but we'll try it. That actually says stand by on the very top. For some reason it shifted it.
That's a pretty good image. Thanks for sharing that. It's very clever as well. Any other last thoughts, you guys, before we shut down?
Other than thanks for taking the net, you guys are doing a great job. N6YG.
Thanks, George. Well, I don't know you that well yet, but I know you have a lot of history with this, and I have so much to learn. So it's great to have you back, and look forward to connecting again next week.
I have to switch over my, I don't have the same station I used to, so switching from 2 meters to HF, because during the week I'm pretty much mostly on HF, so I have to go outside and swap the coax over. I'm going to have to bring another line of coax in so I don't have to do that.
Or hire a neighbor kid, I suppose, to do it. All right, have a good evening. Bill, I know you're dealing with a young child still. Glad that you could join us, and have a great evening. Carol, KP4MD, let me know if you need any help with anything, and I'm sorry I won't be able to get to the breakfast on Saturday morning because I'll be doing Sac County Aries and the triathlon event on the American River. This is James, AE6JG. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for running the net, James. It was fun, and thank you, Carol, for running the stream. It worked pretty well. It's always fun to have a nice distraction here and there and play a little radio. N6WM and back to net. I'll be clear.
Good night, Bill.
And Carol, if you're listening, thanks for doing the web streaming. Hopefully you'll get your system up and running for next week. N6YG.